At today's video, we were waiting for the wheel to dry, and usually that's at least 1 or 2 days up by a heating vent before we can mount tires and do the final work and then remount it back on the MT-09. So I decided to start on Luciano's the Zx7R tank, and I got done with it on a very rainy, stormy day. I got done a little bit early. So what I decided to do is put some footage at the end of this of some nostalgic projects that we've worked on here. This is one of them, Turbo Steve's tank. But basically every day this time of year in the shop, and when we're painting things, we are the slaves of the weather, whether we're painting a tank, a fender, a wheel, or whatever. And keep in mind, the wheels are the most difficult, I think, parts to paint. But sometimes a tank can be challenging too when it's got a lot of Bondo work or something else. But this tank that Luciano's dropped off here is already in prime. He stripped it down to bare metal. So I want to get started on the repaint. Now today we have to deal with the fact that it's supposed to rain all day today and all day tomorrow and then clear up. So I tried to make a plan. I thought one of the things I could do today is work on Luciano's, get it ready for paint anyway, and get the paint mixed and the gun loaded and everything, and get it ready to paint if we get a break in the weather, which, yeah, you never know. And the other thing, and if it does wait 2 days, at least it'll be all set to go. And at the same time, the wheel is still in the garage. I haven't even brought it downstairs yet. I'll get that up under a heating vent, get it as close to the heating vent as I possibly can, and let it sit there for the next 2 days. That'll work in my favor, because in the past, when I've tried to mount a tire or do any work on it, and without having it dry that extra day, I'm nervous about the paint, your fingernails in the paint or something. The paint really is still soft for a couple of days. So we're going to try this, because the wheel came out perfect, by the way, and I'll show it. Absolutely now, I don't want to do any high-risk things, and don't want anything going wrong. And that'll bring us to the point with the MT-09 that I can put the front wheel back on, take the back wheel off. Took me about a week to paint the wheel, working 4 to 6 hours a day. I don't know how many hours, you figure out how many. It's irrelevant. This time of year, what golf game did I miss? What bowling alley, tennis racket, whatever. I'm not missing anything, I don't think. And most of that time, if not 99% of it, I'm in a nice warm cellar instead of out here in a freezing garage. And I'm looking for any flaws, any runs, any drips, any drools. And the color is absolutely beautiful. Wow. Now, we caught a lucky day yesterday for this paint. This paint, if I was trying to do it today, it would not have gotten done at all. Anyway, this just couldn't have been any nicer. But now that I've gotten to this point, I don't want to do anything to risk putting a scratch, a gouge. The paint is dry to the touch, but that doesn't mean it's hard. That paint takes a few days to get hard where you can't put your fingernail in it. Anyway, I just couldn't be happier than the way this came out. Now, the other thing is, once this is mounted and back on the bike, once the back wheel's done, I still have 4 or 5 other little detail things I want to work on. And boy, I'm just very happy the way the wheel came out. But now, while this is drying, here's my point of the day. While this is drying, I'll have time to work on Luciano's thing, get it ready so that anytime we have some dry time, I can fill in with his, since he's not going to ride for a while anyway, and he's already got another tank for the bike. So this will be like a little bonus, and we'll get it done as little gaps in the time come up. And I've got all this stuff at my house now that, well, it's part of the thing they're doing. They're putting a whole new kitchen in, of course, and a family room. So, but then again, I'll have all that room to store motorcycle parts underneath their deck. But every one of the restorations is different. Each one of them has a story to it, including this bike that I'm working on for Luciano today, the Zx7R. It's a unique story. I've put it on a previous video. And when I'm out here flipping battery charges and getting everything ready for the day, Karen's already got the coffee brewing inside. So let me bring that wheel in and get started. Okay, that's going to sit up here for 2 days, and believe me, it's cold enough that the heat never shuts off here. Okay, the wheel's downstairs. The ice is chopped for the day. It's raining. It's just drizzling, but just enough rain. Hopefully some of this will melt up in the next couple of days, and we'll be inside working on that tank. In this time of year, we're always prisoners of the weather. And unfortunately today, we are in prison. And nobody gets any work done without coffee in this house, that's for sure. And while I'm having my coffee, I wanted to sit and just oogle this wheel from every angle possible. I looked very carefully to see if there's not a single run in the wheel. Now, it's all on yesterday's video, and that's a lot of paint went on there in very, very thin multiple coats. It worked out great. Now, I moved the wheel to the part of the bench where I have brighter light because I wanted to see how that paint was reflecting. You really don't see it on the video, but that is a spectacular, beautiful color. And I'm sure when that's out in the sun, that you're going to see facets of that every time that wheel turns, whether you're in a parking lot or you're going on a full speed ahead. That day yesterday, we had a beautiful day to paint, and we took advantage of it. So after looking at this tank, I'm trying to get ready to do some sanding on it. This is the primer that Luciano primed it with. He left me this, and I've never used this one before, but I've used Rust-Oleum, of course. So ultra cover, not sure what that means, but the thing that's not good with this primer that on this tank, there's a lot of orange peel. So what it means is this went on very, very thick. So I'm going to have to do a thorough sanding, and if I go through, I may even use my own primer. Instead of this, there's only about 1/3 of a can left. But it won't matter. I need to do the bottom of the tank too, where I don't want to have any rust on the bottom. Because don't forget, we're going to live forever. That's a fact. Now, Luciano sent the sleeve of this. It's 400. It's wet and dry, wet or dry. 6 sheets, that'll definitely be enough. But here's the issue. I've never used this brand of sandpaper before. So I always like to test stuff. But if it turns out this is not the same or not as good as the stuff that we use, the Indasa, I'll just give this back to him, of course. But sometimes the products are exactly the same, but sandpaper isn't for some reason. Now, and I don't know why. I had 3M paper, I had some other paper, I had some real inexpensive stuff that Gavin sold. I had 3 or 4 brands at one time, and then Mark Morgan brought over that Indasa. And I fell in love with the way that Indasa, especially the 2000 grit, before you buff it, the Indasa 2000 became part of my plan. But the rougher grits, I don't think it really matters that much, but we're going to find out. I've mixed up some soapy water, and let me explain some of the details that are going to happen with this job. So I'm looking at this, and some things that obviously I'm going to have to take care of before I even go on. There's orange peel up here now. I don't know if he did body work on this, but he did a very smart thing. And I explained to many other people over the years, if you strip a tank down to bare metal, prime it 5 minutes later. Don't let it sit in your cellar or garage for a week and then prime it, because you've trapped rust oxidation. So what Luciano did was very smart, and I think he used paint remover, but I don't know. But he didn't do the bottom, of course. There's rubber here and everything. So I'm going to try to, when I actually do go to paint it, you didn't even mask that off. I will try to get some of this, or along the edge especially. Now, tanks tend to rust out right in the bottom here. They don't rust out at the top by the gas tap. So it's this area right here. When I actually get to go do some painting, I will get some paint, and it doesn't matter what color it is either. So that's one thing, and we're not going to see it, so it doesn't matter. But here's the thing, and I noticed, I don't know if there's any body work on this. He said it was a nice clean tank, but there's a lot of orange peel. So if I were to just paint over this, just go out and get the white paint, and he supplied the white paint, and put white paint, the white paint's going to be all right. And then I'm going to put masking tape on it, and the tape edge, because I'm going over a rough area. So because we're doing tape, 2 things. I want this to be perfectly smooth. I want it to be smooth beyond anything I can make smooth. And the other thing is, I want to make sure this coat of primer has bonded well, because once I pull up the tape, if the paint comes up, then I go to Luciano's house and put him in a pizza oven. So the first thing I want to do is test a sheet of this. Let's see if it's the same. Now, in the rougher grits, really doesn't matter as much as in that final thing, and that's where the 2000 Indasa. This is called Gator, by the way. I'm not sure what that means. I never used it before. Not the wet and dry. I've used the dry on woodworking, but this is a whole different thing. So we'll just do a little test here on some area of the tank, just to see what the original. Now this will take a little time because I want to go through in as few spots as possible. Of course, I want to do one in real time. That's always the goal. Let me just do one little spot here the size of a playing card so you can see. And then, now because of the weather, you know, this is not a paintable day, and probably tomorrow isn't either. So we'll get a chance to get this in the next 2 days, get this all prepped up. And the next painting day we get, I guess I can get the white on, get the first color on anyway. This is going to be a 3-day, 3-color paint job and clear, probably, well, I never know until I'm actually done with it, but because we're always working around the weather. Now see, I've gone right down through into the bodywork. There's bodywork here. So I don't want to go any further than that, but when I get to this point, then I'm going to put my primer on, the primer sealer I use. That just stacks the deck because that's the devil I know. So my gut feeling is that this sandpaper is real good for knocking down primer like this. I'll try to get this whole thing done. And Karen just got a call from the kids. They're having more issues over at their construction site. They would like a hand with. So if I can get this at least sanded out before I go over there for it, that'll be nice. But again, the nice thing about working this time of year, I'm not in any rush at all. And I hate working when I'm under the gun, so to speak. And I've done that for Vlad and done it for other people in the middle of the summer when you could be riding to go out and do these jobs. It's very frustrating. Yeah, this Gator paper seems to knock it down fine. There's no reason, I wouldn't think there's any reason not to use it. But I'm going to get the rest of this done. And then I'm going to head over to the kids' house and see how this day plays out. This time of year, in my life, every day is an adventure. I made it through Groundhog Day, and thank you, Steve, for that nice email. Congratulations, you made it through Groundhog Day. Now, this sanding operation, and I know a lot of people wouldn't do it, this is going to stack the deck in our favor big time. And in the case of this, I know this is a collector bike. I know this is something, this is not like a something you could just buy off the internet for $10 or something. So bringing these things back to life and having them that they're in really nice condition, even if you flip the bike, you get a couple $100 extra for it, or whatever, who knows, or an extra pizza pie from Luciano. We never know, you know, if he can get out of that pizza oven. Anyway, this was a good sand out, and I really feel like on a day like today when the weather was not playing to our favor, we stack the deck and we get ready for the next paintable day. I can get the first coat of this will be the white, and it'll be a much better job. And whatever time I spend today, I'll save 10 times that amount in the future. So this sanded out real nice, and just about time here because we know there's going to be some action over at the kids' house. So I think this is all I can do on a rainy day, but this is really a nice big step. We have the white paint. So as soon as we get a, well, what's going to happen? We need a paintable day. And I can get the white on this. There's just a couple spots I went through. I don't even think this is going to need another coat of primer. I thought it would. I don't think it will. I think we're in great shape. But as always, we're prisoners of the weather. And I learned a long time ago, the day you try to rush something like this, you can't skip steps. If I had skipped that step, the job wouldn't be anywhere as nice as it'll be when we're done with this. And I think this is going to be a nice part of the Zx7R, and because this is a collector bike and parts are hard to find, and because I've ridden it and I know it's a jewel, I know he'll appreciate the time and energy I put into this. But right now, Karen and I have to get over to the kids' house. Now, one final oogling of the part before I head out. I went through in a couple little spots. Don't think it'll even matter. I don't even think it'll matter if I put another coat of primer on or not. It came out pretty smooth, no orange peel. So Camillo, the contractor that's doing this job for the kids, he's working in the rain today. So let's see where the beer bottles are dropping today down here. They got some new people.
YouTube.
Holy moly.
Yeah,
You're on YouTube every day now. Every day. You want to be on TV? Look, you want to be famous, right? You're rich and famous is better than just rich. So look at this, they're working in the rain here. The roof's going on. The motorcycle, the little motorcycle garage is coming along. Wow. I don't know if you can see how much room I'm going to have to store motorcycles. 20 by 24. Wow. You should have made it, dug a little deeper there. About a foot. Brother-in-law wants to be famous. To be famous, you got to be on a windy video. Come on, I'll show you how to get to my channel. You'll be impressed. So can you imagine these guys are famous? They're on windy videos. How look at all these guys. And we're getting back. It's raining. And it's near the end of the day here, and it's cloudy, and it's not going to stop. So the day ends, and it never really stopped raining or drizzling or whatever it is now. It's terrible. It's unpaintable. But we got the tank prepped. That's really step one, and as soon as we do get a paintable day, we're going to paint. But I have some outtakes from older videos of painting gas tanks I think you'll enjoy. And on a rainy day, sometimes you just need something to cheer you up. I do anyway. And another cup of coffee. As I pull into the driveway, I remembered, wasn't that long ago, we were pulling in on a MT-09, and a couple months from now, those wheels will be painted, and Luciano's tank will be done, and we'll be out riding. So everything is good over at the construction site. The wheels are drying up by the heating vent, and I do have some, I think, some interesting footage to share from, these are all videos that are on my channel. I'm going to make a few outtakes. I think you'll enjoy these. So after I clean up the workbench at the end of the day and I go back and oogle everything and start to make the plan for tomorrow, because it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so that puts well, we got to think it through. Every day is an adventure. But anyway, this is some good stuff. And to get to any of these videos, you put my name in quotation marks and then whatever motorcycle you're looking for, in this case, FZ600. Now, the reason this video is a significant thing, because Mark Morgan decided when he bought the paint for this that he went to his friend and he got some paint that we had never used before. And we painted the bike, and at some point in the time, and I don't remember exactly when, we had paint compatibility issues. And when he went back to the guy, he said, well, you didn't buy the right thinner. And this thinner that he was supposed to buy, I guess he didn't buy, I don't remember. It's all detailed out on the video though. What went wrong here was when we put the clear on the bike, the paint underneath turned to an alligator and had definitely compatibility issues, what I call compatibility issues. So anyway, Mark, to his credit, went and got all the replacement stuff that we needed. And this is all detailed out on the videos. That's why the videos are priceless. And when you have 2,400 of them, which is what the count is, the pitch count is now. What it is when somebody has a compatibility issue with paint and they're not sure. And I know Scott has had these and some other people. I don't know why I can't remember other people that just jump right to my mind. But what I always do is refer them to one of the videos on the channel that covers this. Now, in this case, we had the resolve for the whole thing was we sanded it all down. I re-back masked off all the parts that were okay. And that again with tin foil using a wall pray method. But you can see the spots that needed to be touched up and repaired. And what happened, I used primer sealer. And it's the primer sealer that a lot of people that are new to painting, maybe even some people that aren't that new, that they don't know this. I don't see a lot of people, sharing this information. And not on purpose, maybe. Maybe everybody that makes these videos thinks everybody knows this stuff. But anyway, I do try to gear a video around the idea that the people don't know, they don't know anything. So you want to share things, and that's one of the reasons the videos get a little long, because I repeat over and over, because I know some people, the minute you leave out a step, they say, oh, you never said that. Oh, you didn't say, and well, it's been to my favor because the videos are obviously useful and people find the information. I get messages every day from people that like the information on the videos and they've benefited by it. And people like, I always use the example, Stephen Walker in Australia that did that great set of wheels for his Honda. There's some more very memorable outtakes of some paint work I did for Turbo Steve. If I remember right, and I really don't remember all these things in detail, we did several bikes for him over the years. And the one I remember the most was the cafe racer that had the tail that he made from scratch. And we had a fisheye problem that even to this day, I don't know. I don't know if we ever cured it. It was one of the things. We bought special products and tried different paint, and no matter what we did, we had fisheyes. I remember this tank. This was one of the ones that just, as I look back over these videos, I think what a lot of fun we had back here. It wasn't even cold out. There's no snow on the ground. It's probably a nice day, and God, you just can't imagine it could be a nicer day than this. And here we are painting in the summer. I don't know that I enjoyed this as much as I would a riding day. I don't know, but anyway, over the years, we've done a lot of little mitzvahs for our friends. And the nice thing is having all this stuff on video on a rainy day like this, when you really can't even enjoy being in a garage. You look back at some of these days we had, and this was a nice sunny day, believe it or not. And we were painting, and it's really beautiful when you can paint outside on a sunny day and you're not freezing. But sometimes I don't have that luxury. But having these memories and looking back at some of the projects I've done for other people over the many, many years I've been painting. A lot of people don't realize how much paint I've put through a spray gun. They really don't understand how much that is. Now this is outtakes from one of the Yamaha R6s that I painted for Luciano, and I've done several of them, of course. He had a blue one, if I remember, and we had this one, which had, here's the whole story here. This is Chinese bodywork. Now Luciano got this, if I remember this all right, and of course these videos are all out on the channel full length. Again, you put my name in quotation marks, R6, and these things will come up. This video in particular, I had really good feedback on, because what I did is I took 4 videos and sewed them together to make one big giant video of doing this paintwork to match. Now the story is, and this is something I've done several times for Luciano, is he gets the bodywork, and you can see the bodywork already has some pretty nice paintwork and some graphics, and here's the seat. But the only problem when you buy this bodywork from China, you don't get a tank. You got to paint the tank to match. Now, in some cases, you go to Gavin's and you get a pint or a quart of paint, whatever you need, and it matches perfectly, and that's it. But in this case, there's a stripe. And this is the Kenny Roberts Yamaha ladders, which I personally love, my RD and my FZR. I mimicked that same paintwork, but I designed it myself. But in this case, we couldn't really design it. We had to match something, so we couldn't do a freelance thing. So what I did is I showed on this video the way that I would do it. When I was done with the video, I realized, well, whoever's going to watch this video might enjoy seeing the actual paint and the back masking and whatever. But the biggest and hardest part that most people would have a little bit of an issue trying to figure out is, how do you get that stripe to match up from the tank to the tail? And it's not as easy as you think it is. Now, even Luciano was impressed. So what I did, I brought all my tape and everything up to his house, and we picked a dedicated day. I think it was a summer day, but I don't remember. And I put the bike, we had to assemble a whole bike as step 1. Now, there's a lot of things in life that when somebody else does them and they're all done, they look pretty easy. Now, lining up these ladders, I can really honestly and truly say this becomes a labor of love. To do this right, you can't just take the gas tank home and then say, well, the stripe's about here, it's about here. No, you've got to do it with the bike all assembled. So step 1 was we assembled the bike, put the seat on, put the fairing parts on. Of course, that is a whole separate job, but unto itself. Now, when everything is lined up, now you can get out the tape. And here's the reason you can't do it by measuring things, because the two sides of the bike aren't exactly the same from China. They're a little bit off, and if you did it, see, here's what you have to do. You have to eyeball it. This stripe goes around a corner, just like the FZR does, and then goes up on a tank, and then you've got to stand back and look at it from every possible angle, and some angles it'll always look perfect. And some angles, anybody's done this knows this, it'll look wrong. Now there's a lot of other paint jobs that are similar to this. Some of the Hondas that I've done had paintwork that had to match up to a fairing, to a tank, to a seat. And there's several bikes that, the ladders are a good example. Several eras of bikes, they thought this was probably a pretty cool thing. So, but when you look at this, what everybody thinks is you can just take a ruler and hold it onto the fairing and that'll point you exactly where the tank is. Yeah, if you were only looking at it from one angle. But when you start to look at it from 2 angles, 3 angles, what does it look like from the side, from the front, from this side, from that side? Well, what it means is you put the tape down, look at it. Put the tape down, move the tape a little, walk back, put the tape down. And because it was Luciano's bike, and at the time this was one of his pride and joys, and I'm sure it still is because he still has the bike. And one of the bikes I've ridden that's really nice, this one is another one of the keepers, like the one we're working on now. This is a keeper bike, so I wanted this to be perfect. And I really paid the price here. I went up there with all my rolls of tape, a bunch of razor blades, and we laid this out absolutely perfectly so that I could take the tank home and it would already have the tape, the basic tape outlines on it. And when I did that, then I knew all of the labor I was going to put into the tank. And here I had to make the patterns with the angle to mimic the angle. And on a lot of jobs, the angle is not the same on the seat and on the tank. You've got to interpolate. And so this just gets a little more involved. And that's why I say if somebody's going to do I call it a Kenny Roberts ladder paint job, and you really want it to be nice, this is all out on the channel in full length. This video, I think, is over an hour. But I've tried to condense it down and take outtakes out of it just because this is something that on a day like today, I like to look back and I remember some of these jobs, and in the back of my mind, I remember when they were done, how happy I was to see that bike really perfect. And in my collection of 2,400 videos that all are posted on YouTube, and they're all free, by the way, I don't think there's many stones left unturned that I haven't tried to cover with the knowledge that I have about paintwork and doing this kind of very high-tech paintwork, very complicated, and in some cases this is one of the examples of something that looks real easy until you go to do it. And boy, can that be an eye-opener sometimes when something starts to go wrong and you have to sand off all the paint, or like we did with Mark's bike, you've got to have a recovery. And so I know in my heart of hearts, there are people that have a passion for this kind of work, and that the stuff I've put on YouTube is invaluable to them, and it helps them enjoy motorcycling or modeling. And this is some outtakes, and they're relevant things to what we're doing now to paintwork. This was one of the videos I try to emphasize how to get tape off. A lot of people didn't understand about the hair dryer and how that helps get the tape off without pulling up any paint, especially if the paint is relatively new. We've shared that information and probably for 20 years already, but there's still people that have tape issues. When you pull the tape up, you pull up the paint. The hair dryer really stacks the deck in your favor, but the biggest thing is what we did today, get the primer to stick to the metal too. But this was a paint job. And like many of the paint jobs I've designed, I designed this. It's not a copy of anything. And any paint job like this, part of it is you've got to design it. And then you've got to be able to do it. Once you design it in your mind and you say, well, I want a stripe here, a stripe there. In this case, there's multiple stripes. No 2 stripes are the same thickness. They taper. All the tapers have to look good from every possible angle. They can't look good from this angle and not good from that angle. They match up to stripes elsewhere on the bike. And this is totally a labor of love. And those great graphics that John Pothia designed those from scratch. This was a labor of love. But once it's done, now that bike, I'm going to have that bike forever. That bike, I've gotten thousands of miles. I think I've had it 8 or 9 years, maybe more. And I've put tires on it, wheels. I've got 2 sets of wheels. But all the hours I put into that paint job and getting those stripes to line up, getting everything to be exactly how I wanted it, it's going to be that way forever. it's not a, it's not like changing the tires and a year later you got to put tires on. Once you do a really high quality paint job and get it buffed out, basically it's safe to say you have it for the rest of your life. So if you're new to the channel, I hope you did enjoy the video. We try to share useful, positive, non-political information every day. The people that watch the channel generally have a passion for either the work we do, or maybe they just like to watch other people do this hard work. Anyway, it is really a labor of love in every way. Any passion, basically, for anything, and not even motorcycling. When you have a passion to do something and gathering the information on how to do it, getting some people maybe to help you, it's a wonderful adventure. It makes life a little bit more exciting of an adventure than if you just watch TV all day. So I do enjoy editing the videos. I enjoy making them. I enjoy sharing the information that I've accumulated over a lifetime. And thanks for watching.